Okay.
And we're live. I'm super, super excited. Hello,
Wow.
everyone. Welcome to Aspiring Better Human, the podcast where we meet each week at noon Eastern Standard Time. And I'm super, super excited for today's guest, Bhavna. I can't believe you're on the screen. We have probably followed each other for a while now. And it's
Absolutely.
been
It's
some time.
years. Absolutely.
we met we met on an audio event. You were so inspiring that I said we need to get you here on camera so we can have a live conversation and see where it goes.
Absolutely. That was gorgeous.
So introduce yourself to the audience. Folks know who I
Oh,
am for the most part, but who are you and what do you do? And I love your title, and that's what we're going to talk about today.
oh,
Conversation with a Mindset Ninja.
absolutely. Well, thank you so much for having me. So, who am I? What do I do? My name is Bhavna Raithatha. I'm a psychotherapist by training and trade. And I started life off as a lecturer, and I've always wanted to be a psychotherapist and diversified to coaching and training. And I became a critical incident debriefer after the Hatfield rail disaster that we had here.
Oh,
And I
wow.
remember feeling completely impotent sitting in my director's office and watching everything unfold on the news. And I thought, I need to be out there on the ground helping the emergency responders. And at that time, I didn't have the skills or the capacity or how to do it. But I ticked those boxes and sorted it out. And I had the privilege to be on the ground the day after the London bombings with our emergency
Wow.
response units.
That,
And, that's been the most profound and humbling experience of my life. I've worked with about 19,000 clients to date and counting.
that's
Um,
incredible.
Absolutely. It mounts up. I've been doing this for 30 years,
That's incredible.
so yeah, it mounts up. So, and in the last few years, I've been public speaking. I woke up on my 50th birthday last year and I thought, goodness
I
me,
remember
where
that
are all
post. You look like you had some great party. I remember that post. It was so vibrant. Yes.
absolutely. And I thought, being a lesbian Indian woman, I came out at 32, and
Oh,
it's
wow.
been a life-changing event for me, obviously. I lost
Right.
absolutely everything that I'd worked for, everything and everyone I loved, and had to rebuild myself from scratch. So it's
So,
been a journey.
so tell us about that journey, right? We all have our stories and we all
Yeah.
have what we pass when we make decisions to come out or to be who
Yeah.
we truly are. We do lose many people in our lives. So what was that moment that you knew, I have to change my life, I have to be who I am? What was that moment for you?
Oh God. Okay. So I'd gone back to work in my old school where I was a student that was mercilessly bullied. I completely, the first time I heard the word leser, the
Mm,
pejorative for
right.
lesbian, I must have been 11 or 12. I didn't know what it meant. So I had a horrific time. I spent, had a horrific incident with the deputy head while I was a student at the school. I was called into her office and basically interrogated as a 13-year-old. And I remember
And
her circling
interrogated
behind
for
me.
what were you interrogated for? Sorry to cut you off.
I had a teacher that I liked very, very much. And unfortunately, because of the bullying, one of the girls had written, Bhavna loves Miss So and so, etched it on our wooden desk. So in her classroom, right? So I was called into the headmistress's office, deputy head's office. And in hindsight, I've reflected on this. I'm 51 now. This happened at 13, and it's as fresh as
Wow.
it was yesterday.
Yeah, absolutely.
Um,
Absolutely.
and I couldn't speak to anybody. I couldn't ask or tell, or if I'd gone home and shared this at home, I would have been bounced off the walls,
Right. Right.
because my mum was traumatized and bereaved and widowed. So I was holding,
So there
yeah,
was
I was at the
nowhere to
helm.
go with that, right?
No,
Nowhere to go with that. You had to
no,
hold it in.
absolutely. Yeah, literally swallowed it in. So, after that incident, I became completely quiet. I just communicated when necessary, yes, no, thank you. And it
Wow.
bottled those feelings.
Yeah.
I had to bottle and shelve those feelings. And the next 3 years of secondary school, I spent my time figuring out how to take my own life because of the pain
Oh,
I was
wow.
in. Right? We had this beautiful Victorian building with 3 floors. So I used to be on the top floor, and there used to be a stage next to the window in the assembly hall. And I used to stand on that trying to figure out, how I could climb out of the window and just end it. And
Wow.
whether or not I would be successful. Right? So time passed. I left school. I went to college. I went to university. Lo and behold, by God's grace, nothing else, I met my future husband, you know, because you do. 6 weeks in,
That,
he
yeah,
walked
exactly.
into the canteen, and it was love at first sight. Will, I have never seen a more beautiful human being. It was like 007 walking in, and I just thought, oh God, help me.
Right. Like
Right?
that
So
magic that happens in Hollywood movies, right?
literally, literally, right? I wish we had more time. I would tell you about him. Beautiful human being. And I went and sat with him. It's a very long story, but I went and sat with him because the other table was taken. I didn't want to see him alone. We started talking, and he was the first boy I'd spoken to. Because remember, being Indian, no boyfriends allowed,
Right, right, right,
right?
right. It's the family's very involved. It's tradition. Right. Exactly.
Absolutely,
Right.
absolutely. Um, Well, we talked and talked and talked and talked and talked. This was lunchtime. We got thrown out of the canteen at 6 o'clock when they closed. Next morning, we missed our lectures. We missed going back. You know. Anyway, fell in love. Got engaged on Valentine's Day. Got married on
Oh,
the 29th of
oh, the
March.
romantic. Yes, the whole scene. I could see it. Right.
Right. So it was October 1992. Right. So anyway, meanwhile, alongside I'm training, did the degree in psychology, got my teacher training because I was too young to do the masters. So I did my teacher training, got the masters, and I thought, right, I want to go back to that school and give back. I want to be the
Um,
person that I needed when I was a baby
that's wonderful.
who was bullied
Right.
mercilessly. So I went back. Okay. What I did not realize, and what I didn't it didn't occur to me that that teacher was still there, that she might still be there. This was 17 years later, right? So I remember getting the job and walking in, and first day there, bumped into her, and I thought I was going to pass out. My knees turned to jelly.
Like, again,
And
one of those scenes you can't script,
yeah,
right? It just
yeah,
happened. Right.
yes, right. And it was so bizarre because our school was incorporated in 1776, I believe. And so every year we would celebrate the woman's birthday, who set up the school to honor her memory. So I was invited as a guest to one of the birthdays. And I remember coming around the corner, and she was standing there, the teacher. So my knees buckled, and I thought, oh God, you know. And unfortunately, what happened was literally that second of seeing her, my life imploded and exploded. It was like that
You were
drop, and
never
then
the same again. You were never the same again after that
no,
exchange.
no, no, because everything I had bottled in that office that day when I was interrogated came flooding out. 17 years worth of just being able to breathe out. And
And you thought you
unfortunately,
had dealt with it and you thought it was yeah,
yes,
yes, exactly.
yes, yes. And, I'd gone into the marriage for the term of my natural life. It was for me until
Right.
death us do part,
And you
right?
meant it. That was totally what you
I,
had that was
I
totally your life.
meant it. I meant it. I was absolutely in love in the fullest sense of the word. We were together for 13 years. We loved each other and we watered each other. It wasn't about what can I get out of this. It was a what can I do for
Right.
you? How can I best show up for you? What work do I need to do on myself to be the best partner to you? And he was doing the same,
Wow.
right? But to the end, we were still dating each other, even though we were married.
Wow.
And
So
one
it
of
was that
the
special relationship, right? That special. I
oh
can I
wow,
can I can see it's bringing up emotion. I can see it in your face.
yes, yes, because we were in the era of phones had just been invented and available. So he would text me from work, hey, will you go out with me? Like little teenagers.
Exactly.
And
Like, will you
I'd
walk me home from
say,
school? That sort of thing.
yes, yes. And we were in our late 20s now, but still we had this very young, frivolous, joyous relationship. Michelle, thank you. That was so precious, so beautiful. And going back to this school and seeing her again, and my world collapsed. You know, and I thought, I need to figure this out because what I'm feeling, the power of it was overwhelming and threatened to overwhelm me. You know, and
And nothing in your day, sorry to cut you up, but nothing in your day or your presence or your life in that moment could have prepared you for that gut punch, right?
no,
It just
no,
it's visceral. It's coming
yes,
from within,
yeah,
out of no, well, it's coming from somewhere, but you just weren't
yes,
prepared for it.
absolutely. Well, it was an inner implosion explosion. That's the way my knees buckled. And I had to really, really go here quickly, remember and remind myself I'm no longer her student. I'm a therapist. I'm a fully qualified therapist. I'm here as a professional, right? I'm here for the students. I'm here for them. And, it felt like just everything I knew was collapsing in slow motion. It
Wow.
absolutely horrific, like my skin had been taken off, right? And
That's
I was exposed and raw, right? And I remember going home and feeling bereft and confused and shaken, and still having to be the wife, and still having to be the lover, and still having to be the partner and the friend, because I wanted to. That's what I wanted. That was my norm. That was our
right.
haven and our fairy tale,
That was your
right?
life. That was everything you had
Yes,
built up until that
yes,
point.
yes, absolutely. And well, we. I had a murder attempt on my life for being with him,
Wow.
right? A few weeks after we met, there was a guy I worked with during the summer holidays. I'm sorry for shouting, but goodness
No,
me.
no, no, no. Please tell your story. You're inspiring people here. I could see it in the
Jesus.
comments.
Um, I finished college, summer holidays. I worked with a guy, Indian guy, and I'd been cordial and friendly because fellow Indian. That's how I was raised. Just be kind,
Right,
like I would with anyone, right?
right.
He somehow got it into his head that I was going to be his wife, and I was like, oh hell no.
That's not happening.
I'm good. Thank you ever so much. So he pushed it and pushed it and pushed it, and then stalked me, and then turned up at university with a bottle of petrol, which he proceeded to pour on me and tried to set me on fire.
That's
Right?
so
Because
horrible.
yes, because I had rejected him allegedly and was with my husband to be. Okay, so that was, finally he was caught. He was running loose for 2 weeks, right? So we had the trauma of that in the first term of university. We overcame that. It was crazy. It was hardcore trauma, right? So I was able to understand from a very much lived perspective when I did my critical incidents work, right? So we'd had that, we'd overcome that, we'd overcome so much to stay together because he was half English and half Italian, so we had the race issue. So his parents didn't want me. My parents were like, "What are you doing? What is wrong with you?" And we
Right.
were
We
like,
know
no,
your story.
we love each other. We love each other. The end. Do what you want to do. And then, goodness me. So, you know, coming back to going back to work in the school and seeing her again, and my world just literally coming down. You know, um,
Your story is so captivating, and I'm sure you tell this story when you're out and you're working with people because it's just so real, and you didn't let it get to you, right? You poured it into who you are to help others.
yeah, yeah. Will, I've tried my best. I've tried my best because I tell you, this was the attack happened on the anniversary of my father's death, 21st of January 1992, right? So that was
Wow.
like, oh, okay. And he had died at the age of 32, and I had just turned 19, right? And I was thinking, I'm not quite ready to die just yet. I've got a couple of
Right.
things to do. Bear with.
Not my time, not my time.
No. And so um, I had this school thing going on, and I had this horrific. What do I do? I was being engulfed. Um, sort of came away from that. I didn't talk to my husband because it was like, I can't do that. We were babies. We grew up together from the age of 19 till
Right. Right.
29 at
Yeah.
this time.
That's right. You're right.
We've
You
been
grew
through,
together. You grew together.
yeah, yes, our most profound decade, our 20s, was spent together learning and growing and adapting and all of that. And I came away and I thought, okay, how what do I do? How the hell do I do this? Because there is no one I can talk to
Right.
that will understand. I can't go to my mum. That was just not on. My
Not an
stepdad
option.
very much on the fence. I loved him desperately, but he was always on the fence, didn't want to make any decisions, so it's okay, cool. So I went into therapy for a couple of years, um, you know, figured myself out, did some archaeological excavation on that buried part of me at
Wow.
13. You know, excuse me. So, I had to do the inner child work. I had to go back and rescue my baby. I had to make it okay for her
What
so
a
that
story.
I'd left her behind. I'd left her behind, and I had to grow chronologically. But this is where I was. So I had to go back, bring her with me, and assure her that I've got her and I'm not going to abandon her again. That took a hell of a lot of work, right? So eventually, you know, I came out, and the first words he said to me were, "I know." And I thought,
Wow.
sorry, excuse me, what?
Right. I wasn't expecting that to come out of your mouth, right?
Right. What do you mean you know? How do you know? And he I could see the hurt in his eyes, and that was breaking my heart. But he always twinkling blue eyes and always made a joke. And he was like, "Well, every time Helen Mirren comes on the screen, you go crazy." right? And it was like, oh God, wow, so I hadn't hidden it as well as I thought.
And with the soul connection, right? That real
Yeah,
connection when you know someone and you connect,
yeah,
they see, feel, and understand it all. Things may not be said, they're
yeah,
not spoken, but
yeah,
when we know another human being, you
yeah.
it makes sense, right? You can understand that now. In the moment, I'm sure you could
Absolutely,
not.
absolutely. And our soul channels were connected and open. It was two-way traffic because we had made it work. We had created that in ourselves. It was,
Right.
him
That's
and me, or
beautiful.
me and him, and then the world. So we watered each other first and then to the world, so that we had each other's backs, whatever came, considering the way our relationship had started.
Uh, it's such an inspiring story, right? So hearing you tell your story, part of your story, right? Because there's just so many things that you shared with us. It, it's the fuel that you use when you're helping people, right? No matter
Yes,
what the situation is, coming out, trauma, you're
yes,
what I love about you is that you are coming from a real place. And we know the world today, and shows like this and social media, people are out there talking about what they do. And I
yes,
can help you, I can be a coach. But you're the real deal in terms of doing what you do, but you've lived your life. You've had the
yeah,
ups and the downs and done the deep work. And that's just so inspiring to me and hopefully to those listening. Uh, your story, your posts, your content always draw me in. One of the things that super interesting to me is how you're that mindset ninja. Listening to you talk about your story makes that title even that much more important to me, right? You use
oh,
that frame because you are not the person just telling someone to be happy, be,
yeah.
you're doing
You
the
copy
deep
that.
work.
Yes,
So tell us, I'm
yes.
mindful of time. We still have some time, and if anybody has questions on the live here, just pop them in the comment, and we'll do our best to get to them.
That
So
would be amazing.
talk about that, and I want to make sure that before we leave, people know how to reach you because your
Sure.
work is just incredible. So tell
Thank
us
you.
about using that title, Mindset Ninja. If I were
Yeah.
to reach out to you and say I wanted to work with you, I'm trying to overcome. Tell me, what is it that you do, and how do you approach working with
Uh,
people? Like, how do you how do you become
well,
do your work as a mindset ninja?
well, I love that question so much. I show up as an empty slate with my clients. Okay. And one of the most profound thing is to honor their lived experience, to honor their knowledge, to honor them. Because the way I go is, we are each a universe. We are each filled with magnificence and magic and experience and all of that. But at some point, we've just been battered. We've had a horrific experience. And that does not make us less than, that does not make us broken. Okay. Because if anyone was to be broken, trust me, I'm up there in the list.
Right.
Yeah. So, when people approach me, we have our consultation. I listen to their story and I hear all of the subtext that they're not telling me. Okay. And we create a plan of action together in terms of what's going on. Is it a business thing? Okay, the business thing is going on, but what's going on underneath the business thing? I'm a qualified, accredited psychotherapist. I'm going to go there, right?
Right.
Because we don't exist in a vacuum. We're not just a business person. All right, we are a human being first. We need to take
Right.
those labels off.
exactly. I was just going to say, we're not the title, we're not the label, we're not the thing that people put us in that
Take
box.
right, take it off. Take the badge off, take the pin off, whatever. Okay. Forgive me, but let's cut the crap. I
Mm-hmm.
don't care what your title is. Meet me human to human. Let's do our work. Let's roll our sleeves up.
Yeah.
Okay. So that I'm not wasting our time. Because, people say, oh, I'm paying you. It's like, yes, darling, you're paying me. You're paying me for sacrificing 30 plus years of my life to get to this
Mm-hmm.
point to be able to serve you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay. I did not get this from a cornflakes packet this morning. This is
Right.
thousands of hours of my life
Right.
that I've spent in studying and in therapy and in tears and, building myself back up again. Okay. I don't know how many years or days or months of my life I've got left. If I'm working with you and if I choose to work with you, I am showing up with all guns blazing. Okay.
I love how you
And
just
so
said
help
that.
me.
I'm sorry to cut you off. I love how you just said that. If I choose to work with you, right?
Yes.
Because of the fact that we are privileged to have our own businesses and our own practices and all that we do,
Yeah.
it's it's someone said this to me, and I'd overheard this recently. I'd overheard something. Oh, that's an expensive proposal. Oh, that's
Yeah.
expensive for this thing.
Yeah.
And the
Yeah.
person said, well, this thing um isn't expensive, but my decades of experience is what you're paying for, right? It is what you need me for. And if that doesn't
Yes.
work, fine. If you're
Yes.
looking for a discount, if you're looking for somebody who's going to, and I can tell this about you, if you're looking for someone who's going to tell you what you want to hear, you're in the wrong room, right? You're
Please
going to
leave.
do the work. You're going
Yes.
to do the work and you're going to feel the
Amen.
pain. And Michelle, who's
Amen.
quite active on the comments here, she's one of the first people when I met her years ago and working with her, Will, you just got to feel it to heal it. Don't
Amen.
distract yourself. Don't run away
Amen.
from it. Be in it, right? And
Amen.
I'm getting goosebumps thinking about what it must be like to work with you be, because
Energy.
you're coming at it as human to human. No matter what your
Yes.
degrees are in your education,
Yes.
that's all super
Yes.
important. But I
Yes.
know here I'm looking at another human being who is going
Yes.
to do their best to feel what I'm feeling and help me through my pain. And I think that's
Amen.
beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you. That's all I know how to do well. And I get incredibly offended when people come and start bartering, as if I'm a lettuce or, a bunch of
Mhm.
carrots. It's like, darling,
Yeah,
no. These are hours of my life that I'll never get back, that I'm
right,
investing in
right,
supporting you,
right.
right? This is why I get so angry when people DM me to do free talks and free speeches and free this. It's like, darling, you've reached out to me for
Right.
a reason
Right. Right. Right.
because you've seen my work. So why would you like me to pay you to
Right.
come and help me under, just wow.
I had listened to someone here on the platform. I think it was Mita Malik.
Okay.
She talks about this, and on her podcast, she talks about it. When your friends or people that perceive themselves as your friend reach
Yeah.
out and says, "Could you speak here? Are you
Yeah.
available for XYZ event?" And because they're a friend, the
Yeah.
first thing her advice is, "Well, what's your budget? What is
That's my first question.
that's
Yes.
such important advice because there are people who are
Yeah.
listening here who are building their own businesses. They're new in
Yes.
business, and it's awkward to know how to price yourself. I've been
Yeah.
guilty of that myself. Your story and hearing you talk about it is just so important. It's just
Yes.
so important.
Yes. And as a woman of color, as an Indian woman, as an Indian gay woman, I have a lot to say. All right. And if people want it for free, then I want to know your motivation for expecting me to come and share my experience and expertise for free, but you're willing to pay somebody else to do the same with a lot less experience and,
Right,
lived stuff.
right.
So it blows my mind, and it's very, very distressing and humiliating.
It's this conversation, and I know we've, I'm just checking the time, we've
Yeah.
reached our 30 minutes. I could talk to you the rest of the afternoon, but I'm sure you have plans, as do I. I'm going to put up on the screen, and please let me know if it's wrong. I love your
Perfect.
new website, www.justbeyourself.co.uk. And
Yeah.
I don't know, though, I can tell from those here on the live, very active in the chat. I know the
Gorgeous.
folks who are going to watch the replay or listen to this later on, wherever you get your favorite podcast. The words of wisdom that you shared with us, you, Bhavna, opening up and sharing your personal story, just a piece of your story, right? Because it's such a rich story. How I want people to reach out to you. I want people to work with you. I want people to be inspired by you as you have inspired me. And I'm looking forward to having you back
Oh,
for another
I'd
session.
love
I
to.
I love to I love to chat, and truly, you are inspiring.
Thank you.
You absolutely are helping people out there, and I can't wait to just explore this a little bit more. Really.
Absolutely. Oh, there is so much. I would love a Q&A session,
Oh,
because it
I
needs
think
to
there's,
happen. We need a dialogue.
and the last thing that I would talk about, right? My journey as this, I'm married for 36. Well, I'm not legally married because it wasn't legal in the US until what, 12 years ago, but I'm with my husband now for
Right?
36 years, right? So we've been together, we've grown up together. He's my everything, and we're humans, and we have our issues and we don't, and our families are meshed together. So and I was that person who didn't, I just go through life happy go lucky, and I trip upon things. But when you reflect upon your life, being shy the way I used to be, I like to tell my story, because by telling my story, who else is listening? Who else could get the courage? And it just needs to be a person or two. How do we help change the world by
Um,
just, I'm just a gay man in New York City who's been so privileged, but I've been blessed with more than I could have ever imagined. So why wouldn't I share it to show someone else
this,
you too, like you, could have your path forward? It doesn't have to
yes,
fit into that box.
yes, yes. And Will, the reason I'm so vocal and verbal is, I didn't have any role models or heroes when I was growing up. My role model was Christine Cagney, right? Sharon Gless. When I grew up, I wanted to be Christine Cagney. Okay, and when I visited New York, my first stop was Brooklyn Bridge because of the opening titles of Cagney and Lacey.
Yes,
Okay,
exactly.
right. So there's just so much there.
Well,
But
I
people
I
need to
I could,
realize,
I run the risk of keeping you all the rest of the day. Um,
not at
I
all,
think we'll,
not at all.
I'm seeing in the comments, and those of you who are listening, I'm getting requests to have you back, and we're going to figure out
Oh,
how to have you back and do a
thank
session.
you.
Maybe we could do a panel or something. I think that would be really, really wonderful.
Yeah, yeah, that would be fantastic. I would love a copy of the comments. Is there any way to
Oh
download them
yes.
and have a
What they will
read?
do on LinkedIn, you'll see on. So this is live streamed on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. on LinkedIn, you'll be
Wow.
able to see all the comments. So you'll be able to just go scroll through the comments on this post and respond to folks. And everybody who is listening and watching, please reach out, connect with Bhavna, and let's keep telling our stories, because through our storytelling, we don't know who's listening, we don't know who's watching, and we can inspire change one
Yeah.
person at a time. So
Amen. Amen. You know, we have to do the work.
justbeyourself.co.uk
That's
is
right.
where to start that journey. So thank you, my
Yeah.
friend. Thank you everyone who's tuned in today and listening, and wait for part 2 of this conversation, because we're going to make it happen. Bye everyone.
Awesome.
Bye, Bhavna.
Awesome.